All right, welcome to the Be Battle Ready podcast. Today I have Alex Brown, Chief Marketing Officer or CMO, if you whatever you want to call it, at Dfo.global. And I'll let him introduce himself, do himself the justice, and tell us a little bit about himself. So go ahead. Welcome, Alex.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be with you. Dfo.global, we are a global e-commerce solution, and that's, kind of like a really fancy way of saying that we help businesses sell products online. That's really what we do in a nutshell. We kind of pride ourselves on being an end-to-end one-stop shop for really any business's e-commerce needs, whether that's product sourcing and ideation, manufacturing, website development, logistics and fulfillment, customer service or marketing. We really, are kind of like an, all you can eat buffet of services that help businesses really scale their e-commerce efforts with a pretty strong support structure for getting businesses to scale outside of the United States and internationally. So really helping take companies, maybe they have a really good product or a marketing strategy that's working well in the United States, but really working and helping them expand that strategy and take it globally. Not only do we serve, a number of different clients from SMBs to, Fortune 500 companies, but we're also our own client. So we practice what we preach. We have a number of our own brands and stores that we operate ourselves that we ultimately profit off of and make money on. So, I joke we kind of consider ourselves to be the Sky Mall of the internet because we touch so many different categories, ranging from tech, beauty, outdoors, health and wellness, home security, travel, just to name a few. So we really have a presence in kind of all of these different categories. We have 300 employees globally in 10 offices around the world. I'm based here in San Diego. It's kind of the core of our, marketing hub, our nucleus. Mm-hmm. But, we obviously have, our, we have people all over the globe who, help us, touch each of those different cultures and, get a better understanding for what's working, really at a local level when it comes to marketing and selling products globally.
Awesome. Well, how long have you been with the company?
I've been with Dfo for about 2 years. Prior to that, I led up a marketing team for a very well-known information product called Instant Checkmate, which is a subscription-based background check service. Which I really helped take from, a company of about 8 employees to well over 100 and about 9 figures in revenue over the course of 5 years. So I've been heavily involved in digital marketing and basically helping businesses grow for, going on 8 or 9 years now. But Dfo, I've been here for about 2 years and really helped us establish our internal marketing team and, build out our marketing efforts globally.
Yeah. What got you into digital marketing? What was your first start in that?
Yeah. Well, so interestingly enough, when I first got out of college, I really wanted to be, I wanted to be an agent. I wanted to be a sports agent like Jerry Maguire. And so my first job out of college was working at a sports marketing agency. And, it was fun. It was interesting. But it just, number one, the money wasn't really that great. And, it's a long and arduous process to get to that, Jerry Maguire level. But what I really got, to see was kind of how the digital strategy was really playing a part to, really growing these athletes and these other influencers' performance. I mean, this is the early days, Facebook was still just a blip on the radar at this point. But I saw kind of the potential and how powerful the digital strategy could be. And it was in about, I think, what was it, 2011, 2010, that, a few of my friends got really into performance marketing, affiliate marketing. And I saw just, the potential that they had to, scale and sell products all over the world. And make a huge profit. And so that's what really piqued my interest and my curiosity And those are the guys who ended up starting the background check company. And I joined forces with them in about 2011. And, that's took off from there. So,
yeah. It's interesting. I have, you're a chief marketing officer, head of the marketing department, right? And, what does it take nowadays in this digital environment, like to be that person, like,
yeah. I mean, well, it takes a lot of trial and error, I'd say, to start. You can't be afraid of taking risks. I think that's the big thing. And especially when you start talking about performance marketing, which is really what we pride ourselves on. So, I mean, just to backtrack a little bit, I mean, what separates DFO from a lot of the other marketing companies in the space is that we, you basically pay us for results. So clients come to us, with their business idea, with their store, with their, whatever product they're selling, and we'll basically like chop it up and come back to them with a proposal. But basically that proposal will entail us, running their media for them and basically paying them only for sales or leads or whatever action, is their key performance indicator. And so in order to do that, obviously you have to have, a pretty robust strategy and really believe in yourself. Otherwise, you'll be losing money, hand over fist. So, I think having a really clear strategy, having a solid team in place is very critical, but ultimately, being willing to take that risk and put yourself in a position to, either sink or swim.
Awesome. And how many people are on your team in the marketing?
So I have about 20 people on my team who range from, digital media buyers. So the actual, campaign managers who are building and executing, the Facebook campaigns, the Google campaigns, what have you. We have a team of about like 4 or 5 front-end web developers who are there to help us, optimize and, make the necessary changes to the websites as needed. We have a team of analytics folks who really chop through the data, look at the numbers, and help us really craft our overall strategy to ensure that we're targeting, the right people and really getting that return on investment that we need. And then we have, some other creative folks. We have copywriters, we have graphic designers, we have video staff on hand. But we've really started to expand globally. And so we just recently opened an office in Brisbane, Australia, where we have 5 media buyers who are now helping us with that market in the Asia Pacific region. And we're looking at expanding into Israel as well. So really trying to make sure we have a localized talent. I think that's a really critical component that a lot of people overlook, especially when you start talking about marketing globally, because, I can sit here all day and, try and, come up with ideas or, write copy that I think will resonate well with an audience in Japan. But if I don't know that culture, if I don't have boots on the ground there, if I don't have people who, intimately know that culture, you're going to fail. Like you will fail because, it's just an effort and futility to try otherwise. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a few years ago, I was running the marketing for a mall in San Jose. And, generally when you have these big malls, they're owned by these REITs, right? Publicly traded REITs, and everything is standardized across. It doesn't matter from New York to whatever, but, our vice president or CMO of marketing was very adamant about localizing the actual marketing. So I had the opportunity to develop a marketing plan for a very diverse area of San Jose, which was East Side San Jose. So, and you had Filipinos, you had Vietnamese, you had all these different things. And it was actually kind of fun because we got to do so many different events, from a moon festival to Tet festival to, they call it Bayanihan, Niha, which is like Philippine Independence Day, and then the celebration of that to it was, I mean, it in a sense, it makes it a little easier on that sense from the creative standpoint, but actually connecting with the audience is different, right? Having to target and tweak the creatives and all that stuff. So it was fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even going back to your example, I mean, if I was thinking about how I would, craft or build a shopping mall in, Los Angeles versus New York. I mean, they're very different markets, like even just within the United States, and, the way, people like to shop, the sort of style in which you can, lay it out, even from like a logistical or layout standpoint. I mean, you really have to obviously understand your audience first and foremost before you can figure out what is, the right strategy or approach to try and target them and get them to convert.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's talk a bit about that team. I mean, just so that, I see a lot of business owners, just small business owners, if, depending on the 3 stages that I see them in, really struggle sometimes with actually managing a team and kind of getting their team working together. And it's actually something I really work with them on. But I want to know your insights and how you go about managing your team, how, what checks and balances you have, things like that. Like, how do you, tell me about that? Because you got a pretty decent sized team.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think it first starts by obviously making sure that you hire the right people for the team, right? And one thing we've done here that I think is really interesting and potentially unique to our company is really the hiring process is done by committee. So we like to bring on people, and basically if you interview at my company, you're going to come through and you are going to do, at least to start, sort of like speed interviews with almost every single person on my team. So 5 to 10 minutes, like 2 to 3 questions per person on the team, because at the end of the day, we are a cohesive unit and we work together. And so if there's not buy-in by everyone on the team, and there's obviously bias that comes in, right? I mean, I think there's a saying, right? Like, if you're going to hire someone in the first 30 seconds of an interview, oftentimes, because we just have that bias of, how, whether we like them, whether they are mirroring us and like how we're acting or our body positioning. And so we try to avoid that. So we have people come in, they'll spend 10 minutes with each person on our team. We'll fill out a questionnaire. We also give sort of a small, a logic test just to make sure that they have, sound logic when it comes to, solving, problems. But basically we'll take all of everyone's, reports at the end of the interview process, and we'll basically go through and identify whether or not they are they're a good fit for us. So assuming that they pass that test, right, and then they come in, we sort of start by having people shadow with, a senior level team leader for, probably 2 to 3 months, and really getting an understanding for how we work and what our processes are. But, you asked about team and sort of our structure. I mean, it is very much a team process here at Dfo. While our media buyers are individually compensated, and they earn commission based on the revenue that they're able to drive, everyone comes together as a unit. So whether that's, strategizing or coming up with, brainstorming creative for how we're about to, position a new product, or a client's product in the marketplace or internationally, all as a team. The matter is we make all of our decisions based on data. Okay. And the data that we get from whether it's Facebook or Google or any of the other, traffic platforms that we're buying media on, it all sort of bubbles up to the surface, and we need to, look at a very top-down approach for how we dissect that and how we make decisions. And so if we had individuals kind of off in their own silos, not sharing this information, we'd be making the wrong decisions. And so it's very important that, everyone, come together and share their information and work collectively as a team to accomplish our goals.
Awesome. One thing I like about your hiring process, you said by committee, and then you said biased. And it's I could see the problem with not doing that, because if a leader, starts hiring, they might hire based off their own bias, which would then probably put the same people in the team, right? Relatively speaking.
Well, and the truth is again, as CMO, I think I have a good eye for, what, makes a successful media buyer or team member. But the truth is I'm not the one really, I work with them and I sort of oversee and manage and help craft the strategy, but it's really going to be their team members that are working with them day in and day out. And if their team members don't, respect them or don't, feel like they add the value, then, we're kind of at a loss there. So you really have to get everyone's buy-in. And, I like the idea of doing it by committee. So it's worked well for us.
Awesome. Yeah. So what do you see since you do have a deep process, and one of the biggest, probably have a really detailed, deep process of how you roll things out, what are some high level things that you can share with, a small business owner to actually allow them to plan and execute their marketing?
Well, I think the first thing I would say, and I think we're all somewhat guilty of this in a number of, capacities, is we make assumptions, right? And I think one of the greatest things about digital marketing specifically is that it's so data driven. I mean, we can track everything from a single impression to a click to a conversion. And, oftentimes, we'll have, clients or, people come to us and they're like, well, my target market is, women 35 to 45 who live in this geographic region and do this and, have these habits. And, of course we obviously listen to them and we take that, in stride. But the truth of the matter is, we prefer to go broad to start and to really cast a very, very wide net with our marketing and really let the data start, dictating our decisions. Because again, what you can do is you can really, really silo yourself or back yourself into a corner thinking, you understand who your market is, and you leave so much money on the table because, again, maybe there is an audience or a market that, is younger or older or of a different, gender. We sell jewelry products too all the time. And, we've had clients who are like, no, it's like our market is women. And then it's like, well, look at all the husbands that go out and buy jewelry for their wives. So, I mean, that's obviously a pretty broad example, but it happens time after time. So what I would suggest to any, business owner out there who's trying to start their digital strategy is, again, kind of, start broad and really, really dig into the data, and you'll see where your clicks are coming from. You'll see, what sort of message or, type of ad or style is resonating. And maybe it's different types of ads and different types of, marketing for each individual segment. And it often is. But, without really, dissecting that data, you can obviously, leave a lot of money on the table.
Awesome. And what are you seeing? What are some differences you're seeing between marketing digitally here in the US versus overseas? What are the differences that you're seeing?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a number of differences. I think it starts first and foremost with, even the traffic platforms, right? Traffic platforms in China or Asia are, they use different ones than they do here. I mean, Facebook is effectively banned in China. So you have to use, WeChat, or you have to use TikTok, or you have to use Baidu. So they have different traffic platforms that you need to make yourself familiar with. Secondly, and this is really pairs well with the market owner and e-commerce business owner, it's really all about having local payment methods. We here in the United States think frequently that, everyone in the world uses credit cards. They don't. And in Asia and in other markets, they pay through a lot of different methods. In Brazil, for example, they use Boleto. In the Netherlands, they use Ideal. So they have these, local payment methods that are integrated with apps and deal with, different types of banking mechanisms. And if you don't have those, on your website, you'll launch and you'll think that you're just doing a terrible job. Well, the truth is that your marketing could be great, but if people can't buy your products, then, obviously in the way that they're comfortable with, right, then you're at a huge disadvantage. So, beyond that, one of the reasons I really do like marketing internationally is because the media is significantly cheaper outside of the US than it is domestically. So buying Facebook media in the United States is, it's the most expensive market you can target, but you can go to Brazil and you can get 3-cent clicks, which is insane. In the United States, you're looking at $1 or, so, yeah. So, again, you have from a media buying perspective, it's a huge opportunity. Now, at the same time, those users don't necessarily convert the same way a United States customer would. I mean, here in the US, we're very accustomed to e-commerce and buying products, and we deal with Amazon. And so, we're much more susceptible. I've bought media in parts of South America, and, I've gotten such amazing metrics and, clicks and everything on my ads. But then I look at all the comments on Facebook and people are like, oh, this is cool. Like, where do I buy this? You're like, well, you click on the ad and you buy it through the store. And they're like, no. I mean, what store do you sell it at in my country? And so there's a bit of a disconnect, sometimes when you do, when you start buying in, second or third world countries that, they're still very new to it. So it's evolving, it's changing. I think we're poised for, the next 2 to 3 years are going to be absolutely huge for digital marketing. I mean, especially internationally, I see big opportunities in India, in Indonesia, big markets there are really, really finally starting to come online. They're finally starting to get access to, credit cards and these, local payment methods. And so they're very hungry for products. So good markets to go to.
Yeah, absolutely. With my bad. What do you see any changes in the U.S. that they should be looking out for? I know that Facebook rolled out the new local business feature on the ad side to make it easier for local businesses, so they don't have to hire somebody.
Yeah.
So what are you seeing? What are some potential, let's call them threats that are coming, in the local space, in the U.S. side?
Well, I guess, I said there's some opportunities, and then there's obviously some threats, right? I think, especially when you start talking about Facebook, based on all of the many scandals and issues they've had recently with Cambridge Analytica and these privacy scandals, they're really, really cracking down on any sort of deceptive advertising. Right. And they're doing it. They're basically painting with a very, very broad brush. And they are making it challenging for sort of smaller advertisers to really come in. And, again, if it's very easy to get dinged on Facebook, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You can, a new advertiser who maybe doesn't really know all of the rules and regulations can very easily lose their ad account or lose all their privileges to advertise on Facebook because they make a tiny mistake. And, without having, in-depth knowledge of what you can or can't do on Facebook, you run that risk. So, that's obviously, a threat or, a potential, weakness for smaller advertisers. But in terms of opportunities, I think, I think there's a lot of really cool stuff happening when it comes to the digital landscape. I see, voice, I think, is going to be one of the hugest new advertising opportunities opening up to people. Again, in a matter of, months, if not a year or less, you'll be able to just shout into your Alexa or Google Home, what you're searching for and what you want, and, find that product in a second, have it ordered, and it's delivered to your house. So I see that as a pretty big opportunity that's coming.
Awesome. Yeah. With, they kept denying our ads last month because of our domain, which is Battle Business, right? And I even had, when I first started, MailChimp just say, nope, just because of that first two names of the, first two name. So then we just had to switch the domain over to my personal domain and run it off of there because they were kept denying it. It didn't matter about the creative, all these other things. And it was just because of that. It was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, they, again, you have to understand, Facebook is obviously a self-serve platform, more or less anyone can go and create an advertising account and link a credit card. And, they've done it this way, for a reason, right? They want to make it accessible to everyone, but at the same time, I think there's some pretty serious flaws with how they, go about dealing and processing issues. I think Amazon is probably even worse because they just have so many, potential, flags and issues, and, they have to rely on algorithms. They have to rely on bots to go through and they'll catch things silly things like your domain that, again, like shouldn't be an issue, but, unless you can really find a way to, rise it to the level of getting an actual human to review what you're doing, they'll systematically ban you and, say, sorry, talk to you later. And I think that can steer a lot of people away, and it's discouraging to a lot of advertisers. So
I know. It was funny last year because I wrote an ad and I was actually poking fun at MLMs and like get rich quick gurus and stuff, because that's just not how I roll, and they kept flagging the ad. I'm like, look, I'm going against
for an MLM, right? They totally thought that we were, yeah.
I'm like, look, it's not that. Like, I'm like, this is nothing like that. So
yeah.
I kept going, and you never get anybody. So
yeah. It's incredibly frustrating. Especially, I mean, in many cases, like that's like people's businesses rely like solely on that. I mean, it's the same with Amazon. Like you can read like, crazy horror stories. I mean, even of people's like competitors going in and basically like buying like fake 5-star reviews for their products because they know Amazon will catch it and ban them from the platform. And so there's kind of a lot you have to look out for. It can be cutthroat. So it's good to have the right, partner kind of in your corner.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys are you guys working on Amazon as well?
We do. Yeah. I mean, we work more or less like omni-channel. So, we can support people on, Google, on Amazon, Facebook, direct content, email, you name it. So.
Awesome. And what are you seeing, like, talk to us a little about Amazon, how that works for you, and, what you're seeing on there.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I'd say it's definitely not our, primary traffic source. I mean, for most of the businesses that we try to support, again, as you have to understand, we deal with a ton internationally, right? And Amazon isn't available in all countries, right? But it is certainly like, if you're not playing, within the Amazon, ecosphere, you're leaving money on the table. Right. Yeah. Typically, margins are a little bit lower. You obviously have to, in many cases, keep product with them so that they can fulfill it through Prime. But again, like any of our clients who come to us and aren't doing it, I mean, we'll tell them that, they're potentially leaving, a big chunk of money on the table. So, we like to first operate, within, Facebook, Google, really kind of hit those channels as hard as we can, and use, Amazon, Google Shopping, and some of our remarketing efforts to really kind of pick up the pieces and make sure we're, hitting every channel. Because, I mean, look, and I don't know about you, but if I see an ad for a product on Facebook or something, maybe I'll click around, maybe I'm doing a bit of review, comparison shopping, like where am I going to go? I'm going to go to Amazon and see if it's available there. Want to check out what the reviews are and see, again, did other people have a good experience with this product? And it's something we really didn't get to, but, I think it's super important. Customer experience, I think, is absolutely paramount, right? It really permeates through every, marketing decision you'll make, is ensuring that customers have a good experience with your store and with your business. And that means having good products. It means having great customer service. It means, having, really fast shipping times, and, ultimately making sure that, from end to end, the customer likes your business, because they will go and write that review. And even more so, if they don't like your product or service, they will write that review.
I mean, it's crazy, the expectation. I mean, we sell rugs, furniture, my wife, and that. Mm. And I mean, I think people just, it's a love-hate relationship with Amazon. Like I'm getting we're going to upload like 400 SKUs to Amazon in the next couple of days. And, but they're all rugs. So it's big stuff. They're big items. Mm-hmm. And we've shipped things out, and people like literally get them and don't like them. And literally like, they're like, oh, and I'm like, all right, whatever, we have to take it back. It's the expectation. And then also that expectation of customer service, which is digital's brought that transparency back. But I'm 100% on board with Gary Vee said about, it's like you're back to your mom and pop shop of like local town, because it's it's made it like that. And the people that treat it like that are going to win, And
well, and even to that point, I mean, like, to operate within like Facebook or even Shopify, like, I mean, most people, use Shopify for, their storefronts. Shopify has basically rolled out and said, like, if you're not fulfilling products to a customer within like 7 days, like, you can be booted off our platform.
Oh, wow.
And so, I mean, ensuring that people are getting their products in a timely fashion. And same with Facebook. I mean, they send out those post-purchase surveys. They're really trying to get a good understanding for, who's delivering good customer experiences, and those people that are going to get better traffic. They're going to get, cheaper CPMs and cheaper rates. And ultimately they're going to thrive much more within the, that marketing channel.
Awesome. So what's happening? Anything that's coming up for your company that, that's a big initiative, or are you guys are plugging on?
We had an acquisition that just came through earlier last week, and so we just recently announced that we purchased another marketing group with operations in San Diego, New York, and Germany. So really just continuing to expand our reach across the world. So that's a really exciting acquisition for us. So just bringing this team into the fold and continuing our growth as much as we can, but. We've got a couple cool, ideas and, some software we're developing. So, keep your eyes on us. I think you'll see some cool stuff coming out from us here in the near future.
Yeah. Let us know. We'll definitely help you promote it. So,
all right.
Well, I appreciate your time and, all the value you provided, and had a great conversation. So.
Yeah, likewise. It was great chatting with you. If anyone is curious, you can reach us at Dfo.global. That's our website. Find me on Facebook, on Instagram, Twitter, wherever. Love to chat marketing. So anytime anyone wants to chat, happy to connect.
All right. Awesome. Have a good day.
All right. Thanks so much.